The mechanical keyboard. These, well, I learned to type on a typewriter where, and it was old at the time, but nonetheless I learned to type on a typewriter where the throw of the key moved a lever that struck a letter through a ribbon onto the paper. And to make that work, it required quite long keystrokes and very even and quite firm pressure on all the keys. And that's how I grew up typing. I also grew up typing, and this is important, so bear with me. We'll get to the details of the mechanical keyboard shortly. I also had to learn to type on a very steep keyboard, because that's what was required, I think, to leave room for all of the linkages. But also I didn't learn to type like this. So the keyboards that are split somewhere down the middle and are rotated are very uncomfortable for me. I learned to type like that. So any wrist position is sort of natural. It doesn't, it's from above, mostly. So it's probably no surprise that, and given that I produce a lot of written content on keyboards for a living, it probably comes as no surprise that I've gravitated towards mechanical keyboards. And the mechanical keyboards that I've tended to get are like this one, fitted with cherry switches from the German manufacturer. They're good for, I don't know, 50 million cycles or something. I can't remember what they claim. And I love them. Recently I bought 2 used keyboards. I bought 3 actually. I bought a small one to go with my little Linux box on my monitor that I use for diagnosis. It's an old, I bought it new, but it's an old HP. It's got component and S-video and VGA and DisplayPort and HDMI and, did I say DVI already? It's got everything. Composite as well as component. Anyway, I have a little Linux box that also does Amiga emulation and a little keyboard without all the, just a little, it's a different kind of cherry keyboard. That the cherry keys make a clicky sound. I normally go with brown. They have a bit of a curve in their spring profile. These are for gamers notionally. They are a steady spring force all the way to the bottom, and they actuate somewhere on the way there. I think the idea is they're quite firm so that they don't get actuated accidentally. Given the way I type, it's not a problem. Also, given the way I type, which involves a fair bit of force, I found that I benefit greatly from fitting little silicone rings to the stems on the bottom of the keys. And I just buy them on eBay or wherever I can find them cheap. They're just silicone. I don't know what sort of durometer they all are, but the bottom line is that they cushion the key at the bottom of the stroke. I've had all these keys off in a laundry bag through the washing machine. They're clean as anything now. Vacuumed out the tray. It was in very good nick. So there are a couple of things about this that I think is, there are a couple of things about this that I think are interesting. First of all, these silicone rings. Normally, well, most keyboards I've ever worked on, a key that's wider than a standard key will usually have some little supports and a little metal stabilizer bar. These keyboards, the Steelseries 7G in front of you right now, and the 6G V2, which is the other one I've bought used recently, that has less cute vintage features. This has a USB 1.1 hub in it and pass-through on the end of the cable for the mic and for audio in analog. Oh bless. And it only has PS2. This is for the hub, this is for the keyboard. So that'll require, out of focus, out of frame. This is for the keyboard, this is for the hub, so I need to have an adapter that goes from this to USB. I've only got them to go the other way around. I'll probably need a smart one as well. So these fit on, normally there'll only be one of these, but on this keyboard there are 3 and I really like it. And you can see, I'll see if I can zoom in for you. No, I've already Oh, maybe I can use this thing. Yep. So see this. Instead of spots to attach the stabilizer bar, this has these two cherry switch like cross parts, and they're designed to fit onto the key in the same way that the actual switch does. And here is why, here is why I've gone after these keyboards, and it's this enter key. I've had to put two on there to get it to stabilize on this post that goes into this white hole, and then there are the other three positions. I've blown these out with compressed air and left them to dry, so they're good. Look at that enter key. And you might say, why do you want such a big enter key? And the answer is immediately right here. I learned to type on that. Sure, I had a Commodore 64, and sure, I had that mechanical typewriter as well. But it was on that keyboard that I really did learn to and did most of my typing. And I still on a regular keyboard hit the slash that's normally in this location here. So the job now is to get all of these silicone rings and put them into place. And is it worth doing, maybe it's worth doing a key without, well, they clack a lot more without the O-rings, and also there's not as sort of, there's a slightly soft end to the stroke, which after an extended period of typing I found is quite fatigue reducing, and also it quietens down the whole keyboard. I mean, it won't do anything for a key switch that's clicky. Like, hang on one moment please. This is the 10 keyless one that I got. It doesn't have all those numeric keypad ones, but that click is a feature of the key switch. Won't affect that, but it does affect, maybe it will come through. Hang on, I'll get a key and we'll try. Pick a key, any key. Maybe one of the big ones. Here we go. The caps lock. Hang on, I'll just blow that out again. So caps lock goes below tab. So it's here. Well, you can't see that, it's out of frame. It doesn't really matter though, does it? Caps lock. So caps lock versus the shift with the O-rings. And really hard doesn't make a lot of difference, but less clattery. And so I really do like these rubber O-rings. I don't go in for lubricating switches and all that stuff, and I'm quite pleased that these aren't backlit, to be honest. Some of the keyboards I've seen for sale marketed as gaming keyboards look a lot like a unicorn threw up on them. But this is what it's about. For me, oh, lovely. The experience of a little bit of key travel, extremely reliable actuation. It's quality stuff. It's got quite a bit of gravity in it. There's a whole lot of stuff about how many keys you can press at once without confusing the keyboard. Most USB keyboards I think are limited to 6 keys at once before they'll stop registering additional presses. This one I think might be spec'd for 10 over the PS2 connector. I think it's all the keys. But I mean, for gaming, I mean, if one hand's on a mouse, you're unlikely to press more than 5 other keys. Maybe if you're running macros, I suppose, but only if they're running on the keyboard. If they're running inside the computer, then. But anyway, I will gradually keep reassembling this. with my what I believe is called a big A enter key. I won't say the A word because, yeah, you know, it's supposed to be not objectionable stuff. Not that I think swearing's objectionable, but I appreciate that people do. Broadly objectionable, it has its place. But beautiful thing. And oh, and I should say this is an ISO US layout. There is also an ISO European layout where this enter key is about that width there and comes in slightly and narrows toward the bottom. But this is the US layout, and I don't believe that there's anyone currently making a keyboard in the ISO layout with an enter key like this. I've not been able to find one. I'd encourage you, if you are aware of one, to put a comment in the comments. But that sounds like I'm looking to feed the algorithm, and that's not what Benjamin's Bench is about. If you know about it though, look, sure, do it, but if you know me in person, sling me a message. Hope you like my keyboard thing.